Stop it.
Stop calling us BAME. We don't like it. Don't do it again. Black women are telling you we're not BAME. There's no. Go find your black friend and ask them if they like that. They don't like it. Today on Deep It with me, Kay, we have her historical sister space.
So I'm Ngozi. I'm an IDVA, Independent Domestic Violence Advisor, and an ISVA, Independent Sexual Violence Advisor, and I'm the CEO of Sister Space.
And I'm Ivy, and I'm an IDVA with Sister Space.
So for those who don't know, what is Sister Space?
It's a charity for African and Caribbean heritage women and girls affected by domestic and sexual abuse, run for and by black women. It was actually Valerie Ford who attended a local police station in Hackney and told them of the threat to burn down the house with her and her children in it. And we would know that from the grassroots community, we don't take it lightly to go to the police.
Yeah.
What they did, in fact, is put it down as a threat to property. And less than 7 weeks later, both Valerie and their baby daughter were murdered.
So there's a stigma on black women personally and in society that we are not fragile. We can't be the damsel in distress. We don't feel pain. And I feel like we're too aggressive, we're too loud, we're to be victims of abuse.
If I can give you an example, you would have a woman who is going through abuse, needs support, needs help, would approach either the police agencies in general or, housing, and would say to them, this is what has happened to me. Most of the time, the first question they get is, have you reported it to the police?
Right.
Why haven't you reported it to the police?
Right.
And then there are subsequent questions that follow that puts the victim in a position where they are almost having to explain why they have been through what they've been through.
Right.
And it makes it very, very difficult because the person needs help. Number one, it means they are not believed, because if you keep questioning for them to justify themselves in terms of the abuse that they've been through and what they've had to experience, then you've already made up your mind before they came to you in terms of what support you're ready to give them, what you think their story is, where you think they're coming from, that the whole experience of what they've been through.
Yeah.
And in addition,
invalidating.
Victim blaming is what it actually says. It's blaming the victim. All right? And that comes not only from the services, that comes from family, friends, society. Yeah. Why didn't you leave? What did you do? Yeah. Even from the perpetrator themselves.
That why did you stay question is often asked.
And even the you made me do it, I didn't want to do it. Right. That's all victim blaming. Right. It's and it wears you down. After a while, you may even start to believe that you do hold some responsibility. Right. And I just want to make it clear, the reason for domestic and sexual abuse is the perpetrator. Yeah.
With this added stress of losing jobs and everyone being in the home and the pressure of the unknown, would you say the situation's got worse?
Much worse. Way worse than it was before. Like, as you said, people were locked in with their perpetrators. Right. The government said, don't go anywhere, don't come out. Whatever is happening to you in that space, you have to stay in it. Right. Because if you come out, then you're in trouble with the government. Right. If you stay in, you're in trouble with the perpetrator.
So like the lockdown is like locked in.
It's locked in. Yeah. It's locked in. And also it made people very wary of finding help and support, because most women would be able to step out of the home and then call someone for help or try and get in touch with agencies. You can't do that when you're there with a perpetrator. Right. 24/7. It's very hard to do. And it also made it very easy for perpetrators to do whatever they wanted to do without any consequence, because again, we all had to stay in. Even when you call the police, they wouldn't come, or it will take them such a long time to come. Victims just give up.
And the victims is at home, so no one's really coming to the house to see them. They're not going anywhere, so no one gets to...
Because you had the 2 meter thing. I mean, what it conjures up for me, I remember very clearly that our client base went up over 400% in a
Right.
very short space of time.
Wow.
And when the government made these rules about certain shops being open, only essential items and stuff
Right.
like that, they didn't consider the black community,
Okay.
because our essential items and other cultures' essential items are often very different.
Right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So, for example, I couldn't get hair products, skin products, I couldn't get my type of food.
Yeah.
This all added to the pressure in the home.
Okay.
And most of the time, you'll find that most black people, certainly in London and other boroughs, are housed in either flats or properties where you don't have the garden that you can go and get fresh air.
Right.
And I'm sure that's the same for a lot of people, but I'm talking specifically about the black community.
Right.
And when they were placed eventually in maybe refuges or somewhere else, they were still denied access to properties or spaces
Right.
where you can stick to the rules.
Right.
You also have to consider that there was no work. People were working from home. So they're in this enclosed space with somebody who probably is going through their own struggles and will take it out. Where do you go? Especially if you have immigration issues.
Right.
Especially if you fear immigration issues. Because a lot of us don't have any immigration issues, but we fear it.
Right.
Because you could be born here.
Right.
The government changes their rules willy-nilly. They're doing mass deportations. Why would you then go and present yourself to government and identify yourself so that you too can be picked
Right.
for deportation or
Right.
whatever they had in plan?
Yeah.
So, you know, there were so many things to think about.
Touching on fear that people have about like reaching out when they're going through abuse, a lot of the times you'll find mothers are afraid to report abuse because they're not sure of the involvement of outside services. So what advice would you give to maybe a mother that doesn't want to ask for help because she's afraid of the retaliation from outside services?
Well, this morning I've been made aware of a case out of London, and I think the woman is a Nigerian woman who's been here for a month,
Right.
and social services somehow got involved.
Right.
It appears that they've seen a mark on the hand. They've taken the children away. There's a whole thing going on.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, this is not a one-off case.
Yeah.
We're finding people who don't look like us, don't understand us,
Yeah.
right? And has you said, preconceived ideas
Right.
of who we are.
Being in charge of
Yeah.
such important.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, black women are not seen as perhaps their white and Asian counterparts.
Yeah, they're not as fragile.
Yeah, and so, you know, you'll have people, if she's coming from an African country and is not familiar with the system or the other cultures and community,
Nowhere to report.
I mean, what do you do when someone just comes and removes your children?
Right.
What do you do?
Right.
It's also, for me, the main thing is with healthcare professionals.
Right.
So you would be told by the healthcare professional, especially when you're going through mental health,
Right.
no, don't let them see it. Don't take your children away from you. And that's the first thing they would
And
say.
who says that? Is it?
It's the doctor. What I realized is, especially when they come from the same place that you come from,
Right.
it's almost like they have got this responsibility to let you know that you need to be stronger. And it's almost like, you know,
It's unfair.
we you know, we are these type of people. We have to be strong because the minute they see you're weak, they'll take your children away from you. And that is misinformation. And
Yeah.
the question is, how many people has that been told to,
Right.
that they needed help, that
Right.
they decided not to seek for help because the bottom line for them was, my children will be taken, because
Yeah.
number one, again, there's immigration control.
Yeah.
They don't know who is watching them. They don't know who is looking for them.
Yeah.
In terms of livelihood, working,
Yeah.
being able to provide for their children, even that in itself is difficult. And
So these are black health professionals trying to be helpful, but causing more damage in the process, because there's already a fear within the black community about this mass and very secret deportation. The media is not picking it up. You only get to find out if you know somebody who's been affected by it.
Right.
And then you get the underground information, all right? So even as we speak, I know that there was last week, Tuesday, there was I think 50 people meant to go to Jamaica.
Yeah.
And I think the Jamaican government stepped in this time.
Right.
And only 5 people were on that. Now, we don't know this, we're not hearing this.
Yeah.
But it gives a fear. And the perpetrators know this.
Yeah.
They know.
So they can hold it above your head. Yeah.
They know, go on,
They'll
go
threaten
on,
you.
They'll just come and take the kids. So you should be lucky.
Yeah. It's another way for them to manipulate you into staying and enjoying
It's
the
an
abuse.
uncomfortable conversation, but I think it's really one that must be had. And congratulations to you for pulling up these subjects that people either can't or won't
No, you have to
speak to.
To flip it on his head, still touching on the children, because obviously there's a fear that services may come and interfere. But then at the same time, I personally know a lot of adults who have grown up in homes where they've witnessed domestic abuse. For children that witness or grow up in those kind of environments, how does it affect them in the long term?
Domestic abuse households.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this, right? Black children have an additional worry compared to other children. Why? Because they can be affected by domestic abuse, as I said, as every child.
Yeah.
But then they have to realise that we can't go to a system because even at their young age, they realise and recognise there's a fear. Maybe they can't identify it.
Right.
Mum's scared to go to the system, or dad's scared, or
Children sense when something is wrong anyway.
And they know when there's this idea of them being different.
Yes.
They know it, they're able to pick on it in terms of how they even see adults being treated.
Right.
So most women who are going through abuse, who would go to services and ask for help, sometimes they're with their children.
Right.
So their children are seeing how they are interacting with these agencies and these services, and they are seeing the response their parents are getting back.
Right.
from
Immediately,
people
it says
who
to
don't
them,
look like them.
Right.
And that's really important. How many hours do these women have to sit down in housing or social services with their children running up and down, no food
Hungry,
available,
tight,
bags there, and they become dehumanized.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And these things are, you know, and then if you say anything, some of the responses that some of the staff will give is
Make
totally
you wish that you never even
let
fled.
me tell you.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's really dangerous.
Oh.
But I play angel's advocate. I don't do devil's advocate here. Still on that subject, I feel like there's a stronger long-term effect I've seen, because some people witness abuse and become abusers themselves. That's a danger in itself. But then some people witness, for example, you might see your dad abusing your mom, and now you've got a fear of men, relationship issues you can't trust. I spoke to a man one time and he was saying he used to watch his mum get battered by his dad, and all he kept saying was there was nothing I could do, and I don't think he even realised that he was traumatised by it, because watching on the outside looking in, the amount of times he was like there's nothing, it's like he even went into the place where he was and he was like, yeah, I'd see my dad doing this, doing that, and there was nothing I could do. And I feel like
there are so many men who are affected, and women, you know, but you know, when on the rare occasions when the system has got it right and they've placed the family somewhere else, for a boy 12 and up, I think you can't be in a refuge. There's some rules around it. I'm not clear because they keep changing. But a black 12-year-old boy is viewed very differently in this country than a white or Asian 12-year-old boy.
Definitely.
So you now have to consider so many things. Right?
There's the perversion of the young black boy, the aggression of the young black boy. It's like a stereotype just already labelled. Those kind of incidents are really traumatic, and I wanted to touch on it basically because as much as I want to speak on everything, I want to be honest, and yes, there is a fear for women who have children about reporting it because of the consequences that they might face, but then there's also the other side to it. If you don't report it, your children are going to be traumatized. If you don't report it, your children have to witness this, and I think it really does mess with them in their future.
Of course. I mean, look, obviously not all people who witness domestic abuse go on to be perpetrators, but what have you learned about relationships?
Right.
If this is your only reference, then how are you going to be able to be in a loving relationship if you don't know what that looks like or what that feels like.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And then, as you know, you, as a black person, you live one life inside the house and another one.
Yes. The street life.
Outside.
It's like the telephone thing, innit? You be talking out, telling the kids, get down, and as soon as the phone answers, yes, hi, yes, so you know.
That's universal.
Yeah, that is definitely it. Could you give us some red flags that you know that people can look out for to avoid possible abusers?
Right,
Certain signs.
You're quite right in that victims and survivors of abuse are men, women, children, all races, all colours, all ages, all genders, everything.
Yeah.
Instinct
Yeah.
is a very, very valuable tool that people don't use. If something feels off, the chances are it's off.
Yeah.
Whether it be your work colleague, you know, I don't know what it is. I don't want to ask. I don't want to be nosy, but something's not quite right. Yeah. People who are victimized at home will carry it to work, will carry it to the school, will carry it with them.
Right.
And sometimes their only hope is that someone picks up something.
Someone notices.
And they may not want to tell you straight away. It might be you have to do some hard work.
Right.
Yeah, you might have to just be observant, or you might just have to say, look, I'm not getting in your business, but if you need to talk of there's something's up, tell me. There's always a way out. Just, if I'm wrong,
Yeah.
better to do that.
What is a safe way? Because I know a lot of us is going to have family, friends, neighbours that we may know personally or have an inkling at least. A mistake someone might make, for example, is knocking the door and asking outright. Then then the woman, and that's what I meant by red flags as well, then the lady in the situation is going to be isolated from this neighbour because they're showing a concern. And that is like another red flag to look out for. If the perpetrator or your partner starts to isolate you from friends and family, if they're controlling.
There's something called a welfare check that you can ask the police to do. You can ring the police and say, look, I don't know. Right? But I suspect.
Yeah.
Can you do a welfare check, please?
Yeah.
Now, when they do a welfare check, it means that they can't tell anybody who the caller was.
Right.
But they know enough to understand that there can be something happening in secret. It may not be obvious, it might not be, because domestic abuse isn't always physical.
Right.
All right. So number one, know what domestic abuse is, and know what sexual abuse is, and know what rape is. There's three different things. You've got your physical, you've got your financial, you've got your coercion and control, there's many types. So try and identify what you think might be going on.
Yeah.
And if you're not sure, ask somebody.
True.
Talk to your GP.
Yeah.
Talk to, be a nosy neighbour. A nosy neighbour is a beautiful thing.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
In the right context.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, in the right context. It's very true.
A welfare check.
Yeah.
You go, and sometimes you have to be a bit firm about it. No, look, are you saying you're not going to do it?
Yeah.
Because I've had to do that to the police as well. I've raised a concern, and you're saying it's probably nothing. Are you telling me that you're not going to follow this up?
Right.
So make them accountable.
You hold them accountable. Sistah Space has a huge online following. Twitter, Instagram, like there's celebrities from all over, especially with Valerie's Law.
Yes.
They came out in droves. You have got such a big fan base, or I don't know if you want to call it supporters. How does that help you guys in what you're doing? Is it motivation? Is it getting the word out? It must be encouraging.
All of those things.
More outreach, most definitely.
Because with Valerie's Law, we needed 100 signatures, 100,000 signatures.
That was a journey.
And I felt like that was ridiculous, because I felt like if there was 80,000 people that felt like there was an issue and petitioned for it to happen, that should be enough. You needed 100,000 just to be considered for a seat at Parliament. Congratulations, you done it.
Yeah.
Well done, Sistah Space. There was campaigns, there was adverts. You guys was on BBC,
It was
ITV.
hard work. My thing is, why do you need 100,000 signatures?
Yeah.
You've already biased some groups out of the something.
Yeah.
Because a small little group like Sistah Space, we didn't expect to get 100,000 signatures. Now, I always say this, right? We're living in a system that if you said that there's a donkey that needs a shelter, 200,000 signatures in a week.
Yes.
When it comes to black people,
Yes.
we had to give out of our gullet.
It's true.
To get those signatures.
True.
And when Parliament made this rule, you knew that for certain groups, not only black groups, but certain groups, it's almost impossible. Right? So what Parliament needs to do is to move that number down considerably. Find a different way.
Lower the goalpost. Lower the goalpost.
It really isn't fair. But number two, even when we got 100,000 signatures, we are training on Valerie's law already. Right? So Valerie's law is simply, we're asking that training around domestic abuse in the African and Caribbean heritage community be mandatory for any agency, police, housing, anybody who says that they deal with domestic abuse. They need to know basic about the African heritage people.
Yeah, you guys provide training. Training for police, training for housing, even when it comes to refugees, like you said at the beginning, certain products when we need for our skin, certain shampoos and showers. And it may seem like minute things to people who are not going through it.
Generally calls it the unknown unknowns.
Right. And who feels it knows it. That's the end of it. So if you don't know it, learn. If you're in the position to save somebody's life because you're an officer, because you're part of the barriers that somebody has to go through to be safe and survive, the last thing we need is for you to be incompetent in the culture.
And I'm going to get controversial here, right? You don't need to let go this B.A.M.E thing, B.A.M.E, whatever that is. What a discriminatory term that is. Because what you do is you put white, middle class people in one category and everybody else
don't
fits
like
in the other.
Stop doing it.
Right? Not only that, but you're putting us in categories with people who do not like us.
Right?
We need to have that difficult conversation.
That is our identity, and it's being taken away from us. Again, I can't go and present as white or anything else. So if you're calling an Asian person black, that means that the support that us black people should be getting is going to them, and it's almost as if it was done with no thought. You're not white.
I think it was done with
it's not white. That's what it is. Isn't it?
Because my thing is, right, you wouldn't ask me to go and speak on behalf of perhaps the Jewish community or the Asian, South Asian, whatever.
It's not even you couldn't. You wouldn't have that opportunity.
Right. Then how is it okay for violence against women and girls sector, the work sector, to keep routinely referring black women to agencies who may or may not have black in their title, right? It's a simple thing. Go onto the website or do some research on these agencies that you're referring black people to and make sure that they are equipped to do what you think they can do.
So touching on that, as an organisation who protects black women, do you face any roadblocks because of that?
Listen, this is what they call a difficult conversation, right? But it's one that's going to be had, right? So there's people out there, we're offended by this and we're offended by that. So we must die because you feel offended by our truth. That's yours. You hold it. That's yours. Here it is. You hold it. Because we need to be speaking about it. And simply put, look, in some parts of Asia, they have a caste system where the darker skinned people are treated
less privileged.
If people think that all the other people who go under the heading of B.A.M.E that live happily together and skip and whatever, and there's no equality there, stop it.
Stop calling us B.A.M.E. We don't like it. Don't do it again. Black women are telling you we're not B.A.M.E. There's no. Go find your black friend and ask them if they like that. They don't like it. The
thing is, some of the black friends are a little confused.
They don't speak for us. The majority rules, we said, don't call us B.A.M.E. B.A.M.E is black and minority.
Ethnic.
Exactly.
So
it's name calling.
It's Negroes and others. That's what it feels like.
But the thing is, right? It's about telling the truth and calling it what it is, right? If people want to be politically correct, good for you. You're no longer having our lives while you decide. This is offensive. You don't speak for African heritage people. Your hair is not like ours. Your struggle is your struggle. You cannot, especially as you were part of our struggle. And
infringe on us.
Do not. Right? So Valerie's law should be taken by every organisation that says that they believe in equality.
Yeah.
I respect yours, respect mine.
You have to. You're gonna have to.
Is that, you know, we're supposed to all have a common goal here, which is the support of the person who's going through domestic abuse. We have to fight 3 times as hard as anybody else, even to be heard.
Yeah.
We have to pull a rank, offer
and we have to tell them their job. I think sometimes that makes them very angry, and it annoys them because again, they're saying to you, we don't have anything. You're not even listening to what is being told to you.
Right.
But immediately it comes, shut up, we don't have anything. We don't know anything. And it's really hard because at the end of the day, we also have to depend on these services to be able to get women to a safe place.
Right.
Housing is terrible.
Yeah.
How do we know they just don't want a bigger flat, right? All of that. I
Can
mean,
you imagine that? You'd risk someone's life.
Yeah. But you know what?
You'd risk someone's life on the off chance they might want a flat. But if it was your cousin,
you see,
you would give him the little
because
hookup.
we see you. Listen,
we do.
We see you.
Clocked you long time.
Yeah.
We deep it.
Yeah.
We deep it.
Seriously, all the way.
So
let me know. But the last bit of that is every case is unique.
Yeah.
So although we may not be shocked by some of the things that we have, we still
It always touches our hearts.
because everybody's different.
Yeah.
Their circumstance is different.
Yeah.
How they're affected is different.
Yeah.
But there have been some cases I've had to deal with it, then go home. Climb into my bed. I didn't even.
I was going to ask you that because certain jobs they have like an aftercare team for the staff.
Vicarious trauma.
Right. So I did a very short time. I worked for the London Ambulance Service. Yes, me. As an emergency medical dispatcher, and that was very traumatizing because I was specifically on the ambulance calls. So once you come off the phone, you don't know what happens to the person after. Like when you drop someone off at the refuge, you don't know if their life turned out roses or if the perpetrator found them again. That's amazing because that also helps the client feel important and they can come back. But how do you guys like offload? Because every day, emotional trauma.
They call it vicarious trauma. Yeah. And I'm glad you speak to that as well because if people think they're not affected by it, it's an illusion. Yeah. You try not to take it home with you, but you do. Yeah. Right. You know, we've got cases where, you know, we're hearing that these 2 sisters were taken away. One was favoured, one wasn't. One used to get locked up in a room. In 2 years, she didn't see her sister. Forgot she had a sister.
Wow.
Oh, listen, stuff. Yeah.
So it's like neglect.
It came to public attention when the stepmother set the child on fire.
Wow.
So, you know, I mean, trigger warning, right?
No.
We get stab wounds, we get this, we get near death, we get death, we get everything. And it's actually the community. Yeah. Sisters like you who take the time to come and talk to us. Gives us balance, right? We have had the Jewish community, the LGBT plus community, the Muslim community, white, black, everybody.
I've seen everyone here
support Sister Space, and that has, you know, they donate, so that we can pay for the place that we're in.
They show they care. They say, okay, even if the system is not set up correctly for you yet, since you are the doorway to get that done. As black people, we want to make sure we're supporting you guys and checking on you guys and making sure
everybody.
we want to as black people make sure we're supporting you guys, making sure you're okay.
I see.
But then we have the allies.
Just because you're supporting doesn't give you the right to step in and
you don't need to look at the accounts now because you've donated. We
actually had somebody who donated and then asked to sit on the as a trustee.
Right.
She said, I've donated, I'd like to sit on the trustees. This is a white woman and did not understand. This is for African and Caribbean heritage women and girls. No, you cannot be a trustee.
And I don't respect to her anyway. Respect to everyone that donates. Everyone does things differently. I do not like someone giving and then expecting,
and that's what that was.
And that's dangerous, and that's not
because a
down
trustee,
to particular colour or race.
And this is what I was going to say. Trustee, it's not even about the background, although that's very important. Because who feels it knows it, and if you haven't walked a mile in my shoe, you can't be a trustee.
And we have to be leading some things. I'm sorry. I'm tired of looking at the board. Yeah, when you
don't start me off.
When you walk into an office or a building, and it's like, because it does a little pyramid system of the photos.
Yeah.
And then you've got to spot the black person. Like, where's Wally? And it's like, there's three.
No, where's Wally?
Where's Wally?
Where's Wally?
The criteria has been met. Do you get me? The B.A.M.E criteria has been met. We don't like that. So it is important that we have our space. It's sister space. And it's sister. It's not sister. It's sister space.
Come on.
It's a space for sisters.
Some people say, you're a feminist. We're not feminists.
Yeah.
I don't, stop name calling us for everything.
Yes.
Yeah? We don't know what the feminist thing is, right?
Yeah.
We support black men.
Yes.
We don't support perpetrators.
Right.
They are not necessarily the same thing.
Just before we go and wrap up here, I'd like to say thank you so much for your works in the community.
Oh, thank you.
Bless you for the children whose parents are going through abuse. Bless you for the survivors and the victims themselves. If you got any messages you want to give out to the perpetrators before we go,
we're coming for you.
Go get you. No. Yes, I like that. Thank you. All right, guys. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.